Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to 182 of the Witcher 3 The Wild Hunt. Only 17 or only 18 more past, ladies and gentlemen. We hit 200. Which, to be honest, is scaring me. I've never had a Let's Play go more than 140 odd parts. And that was years ago back in Steppenwolf. So this being the longest Let's Play I've ever had is both amazing and also weird as fuck. But then again, Cyberpunk and Baldur's Gate are becoming soon, so I was on the right fucking path. Yeah, once Cyberpunk and Baldur's Gate Freeland, I don't know which. I know I'm going to be probably streaming Baldur's Gate, but I'm going to hopefully try and record Cyberpunk and put Cyberpunk onto the channel directly instead of, you know, streaming it. Because as cool as streaming is, streaming will become oversaturated instantly. The top streamers will be streaming it. There'll be no point streaming Cyberpunk. And the same could be said with Baldur's Gate 3. The difference being, like, I like I'm looking more forward to Baldur's Gate 3 because it's an RPG. Something that I think is better. You could do better on a playing it on a recording. So to be fair, I may stream both of them because I don't know how far between the dates are. I mean, I'm going to be playing the Ghost of Tsushima soon, which I've already bought. Well, I've already pre-ordered. Sorry, I've bought the collector's edition. I'm going to be playing that. See, I'd do an unboxing if I was going to let's play it because I have got the fucking big ass collectors, so I could do an unboxing. But there's literally no point. I don't have a camera, and I also don't like being seen on camera. You know, you can't cure ugly, ladies and gentlemen. You just can't. I mean, a big dick does not solve ugly. I can't wait for some of my friends to fucking. All I'll take is one friend to think, oh, you know what, fuck it, I'll watch one of Joe's videos today. Fuck it, I'll watch, you know, part 182 of The Witcher. I haven't watched any of the others, but I'll support him anyway. Hey, Joe ain't got a big dick to line twat, and there it is, ruined. I mean, okay, okay, an average-sized dick can't cure ugly. That's the best I'm gonna offer. But yeah, like seriously, like I don't know, I do stutter sometimes, by the way, so I do apologize about that, but I would stream or at least let's play the Ghost of Tsushima if I had a reliable capture card that isn't a piece of shit. Like I do have one. I capture carded the entire time my what's it called? I capture carded the entire time. My PC years ago now was broken. I think like within the 7th month because I wanted to upload something, and I used my laptop to upload a few EU3 Let's Plays. This is way into EU4's lifespan as well. Yeah, the problem is that there was a delay, and I hated it. I hated the fact that like my audio was a few seconds ahead of what the viewers, what you guys saw, or like thing-wise. And I think I mean, I always thought it was because of my laptop, and it probably was. But you know, I don't want to use like capture devices, and I'm not using Sony's fucking streaming because as much as I love Sony, and I do love Sony, like PS5 is going to be an amazing system. Not even for the power. If I want power, I've got my PC. My PC is powerful. But yeah, we'll talk about it in a second while I talk to John.
Which John Vernon, remember? You saved me from the drowners. It was Coppolis then. Now, why, my purse is bursting.
Mm-hmm. With coin that belonged to the refugees. Vengeance tastes sweet.
I thought you'd come for your reward. I'll gladly pay, mind you. You saved my life, no two ways about it. But, if you're looking for a bruising, well, you'll find it.
Should have left you there, tied up, right at the water's edge.
Well, you can't turn back time. But I'm willing to see to it your conscience don't torment you long. Get him!
Giving me no choice.
Oh, this is how we're gonna do it, guys. Okay. I mean, like looting your entire camp is probably much better to me than anything else. Letter from Tobin. Dear Mother, everything has gone very well so far. I have considerable ways to go to the city. But as soon as I get there, I will dispatch this letter and set about writing another. I miss you and Father horribly. I'm being extremely careful with the coin you gave me. I have not spent hardly a thing. Once I find employment, I will set aside an amount every week and send you my savings regularly. Tell Yolanda I love her greatly and I will send for her soon. To come and be my wife, of course. I spoke with a certain Temerian who told me there are more merchants in the city than ants in the woods. And that scribes are always wanted. I believe he spoke true. Your Toblin. Give Fido a good belly rub from me. Well, I'd say it sucks to be you guys. And of course it does, but you know, not my problem.
Come on.
Right. Let's go, let's go this way. Don't know what that is, but I don't give a toss. If it's not a question mark, I ain't caring. Go boom. There we go. Let's give this. So yeah, we're actually doing a good. I'd say we're getting like, you know, we're getting a good amount of things done. I've actually missed stuff, so I'm gonna have to go back. I'm gonna go grab this boat and I'm gonna go grab that. Didn't want to have to grab a boat, but here we go. I'd say I could leave those to the end, but you know, it isn't like Skellige where there's a shit ton of ports to, you know, just dock, like fast travel dock to, and you know, do all that. So we'll go do it while I'm here. Yeah. So So like I said, I would stream Tsushima, Ghost of Tsushima, but I'll probably just be no lifing it for a week or two, and then I'll you know, get back to my. I'll probably at that point in time I will probably have very short streams, like an hour, maybe two max. At that point, I'm not saying I will do, but I probably will, because I'll probably, like I said, no lifing that game. When it comes to games that I look forward to, I no life the fuck out of them, which is why I try to like record nearly every game I play, because that way I can no life it for recording, and you know, it's a little bit easier, or no life it for streams nowadays. You know, it's a little bit easier, but. When you record and you no life a game that you can't record, like SWTOR, I know life, and there's a reason I don't, you know, stream that. I mean, I could stream or record that. There's just no point with how much I've done. Collect the goods from the same crate as usual. If you get in it to the drop off on time, you'll get the full sum we agreed to. If you get there no later than a week after we agreed, you'll get half. If you're late in a week, you're dead. Hugo. P.S. Don't want any witnesses. If someone noticed you, kill them first. Ask questions later. Oh, it's here. Oh. Oh, I'm gonna guess it's done that little cubby there where there's a little kit chest. Oh, something tells me it is. There we go. Wait, oh, there's 4 of them. Ooh. This is different. Wait, I'm confused. So there's 4 in this area. Well, I'm assuming this is number 2. Yep. Number 3. I'm going to assume number 4 is on here. But yeah, like I was saying, get ready, like, just, yeah, you be ready for the channel to have some content in this form of, for Cyberpunk and Baldur's Gate 3. I can say for certainty Baldur's Gate will be a stream game, because it's just going to be easier to stream that one. Because I don't release more than 1 part a day on stuff, purely because, you know, I would have to, it just doesn't work for the, you know, my jobs and that. Like 2 parts a day is the best. Like, sorry, 1 part a day is the best I can ever really go to because of my jobs and the fact that I'm, you know, when I'm actually working, whenever I get back to work, I have to put in a lot of effort. And I'm like, you know, I want by the time I get home, I've got enough to record a couple of parts, and then especially now streaming, yeah, it's 1 part a day is pretty much the max I can ever do. But I can do multiple series though, so like. No, that's why I could do like I would have to have it as like I could do multiple parts for one series, and that would be the only series I do, which I don't like doing. I like having multiple series because, you know, it gives me something different to play, and I don't get bored as quick. But yeah, there'll always be something. Okay, this last chest is pissing me off because it's taken forever to find. Damn it, I was at a 10 and everything. You absolute bastards. I was at the perfect 10. Is that not it? The one that, oh my fucking god, where is it? I'm gonna look around on this little island. Piece of shit quest. Oh, fuck you. Like, fuck you to the moon, you piece of shit. As Isaac Butterfield would say, fuck you to the moon. Right. Let's go. So, actually, there's something I can talk about. Cyberpunk, there are obviously, that's one thing I think I'm just going to mention because it is CD Projekt Red, you know, it's related to The Witcher. They've said that there's 3 different starts you can choose from. I can't remember what they're called, but they're meant to be like very distinct and different, which is going to be cool. I don't know how much, I know it's going to impact, I just don't know the level. The problem with the game is that they've made all these claims, and I'm looking forward to like Cyberpunk, do not get me wrong. But they've made all of these claims, and I'm thinking, like, I'm looking at them like, are those claims, you know, are they going to stand up, or like, are those claims, you know, bullshit? And I love CD Projekt Red. I love, like, you know, they're one of the few, like, one of the few people, like, developers, along with like Paradox. Even though some people, for some reason, do not like Paradox, they think that, do not get me started with the DLC system, complaining that the Paradox like fan base does, because they're a bunch of fucking whiny crybabies who don't understand how much effort goes into stuff. Like, oh, it's like same with Total. Actually, I'm gonna quickly rant about this because, you know, seeing as I'm doing nothing else, I may as well rant about this. People who complain about DLC policies are typically people who don't have any knowledge of the game industry itself and just just feel like they do because they've bought a game. Now, as someone who has been part of like the university and stuff like that, and has been taught knowledge, obviously, about what goes into making games, has made a few games myself and stuff like that, I know, you know, what goes into making games and what goes into making fucking good ones, because I made shit ones at uni because, you know, I will be truthful. I did leave uni because the course became more of a software course instead of a actual, software programming than a, what's it called, programming, games development. And that's not what I signed up for, so I left uni for that reason. Like, I was perfectly fine coding. I just don't like coding in the language they were wanting me to code in. And it had nothing to do with games, but like, you know, that's just a side point to make sure you know where I'm coming from. And, you know, I'm not saying that I was in the industry. I was saying that I was studying and I was taught by people in the industry. Still, the point stands. Like, I know what I'm on. I know what goes into making a game. I know what goes into making AAA games and stuff like that. And to see people piss and moan at Paradox releasing like these content packs. It's like, oh, they're just sprites. It's like, yeah, sprites that someone probably took a long-ass fucking time making, texturing, you know, shit like that, modeling the animations and all that. Like, animations, texturing, and all that shit, especially when it's for your own game and you're doing it from scratch, doesn't just fall off a fucking tree and you're like, oh, look, I've got that. You know, you don't just go grab it from Google. Like, grab it from, like, you know, go into Unity, grab a pack there and be like, oh, there we go, use that. It's like, they make them specifically, like, they make them from scratch. Yeah, they probably have got a template by now that makes it a little bit quicker, but they're still having to do things from scratch, for the most part. And, like, the content packs, especially when there's, like, multiple different variations of each model, and then there's the cavalry, the cannons, the infantry, and there's every obviously tier. There's tier 1 to 1 to 4, and then they've got multiple countries that have slight variations, slight differences, and you know all of that adds up quite quickly. You also then have multiple teams doing it. You then have to do the animations, because the animations could change, because they could be walking different, they could be holding weapons different. Like, there's so many things specifically for the Paradox content packs that explain why content packs are typically more expensive. And there's also, the content packs now are way bigger than they first were when they came out. They now contain, like, multiple different things, as well as sprites, and sometimes music, and sometimes other things as well. I can't really speak for the most current content pack, because I just bought it because I like them. And I like having them. I didn't actually look into it. I wasn't really bothered. Like, again, I buy it because I know that people have put effort into it. To me, it's worth it. But when it goes to like a main DLC or a main like we'll talk about we'll bring Total War into this one. When you talk like like a big DLC like Warden and the Paunch, stuff like that, and like the Emperor update specifically, stuff like that. You'll see people piss and moan to DLC policy strikes again and shit like that, and it's like, oh, this should have been in the base game. It's like, what do you mean it should have been in the base game? Like, that's the biggest one that pisses me off, I think, more than anything. It's like, oh, this should have been in the base game. It's like, what? Like, I mean, day one DLC, sometimes I can agree. Because if the day one DLC is free, then it's like, okay, then you've already, like, day one DLC to me is a bit scummy, but, like, at the same time, it depends on the, like, is it the same team, is it the main team that did it? If the main team made the day one DLC, then yeah, I can see that. I can be a bit pissed off with that one, because if the same team who made the base game made this, then yeah, you can legit be a little bit annoyed by that. But if it's a separate team, in like a separate part of the team, or like a separate a sub team, then yeah, that's a bit different. If that was their sole target, sole focus, then those people's wages typically don't depend on it. I wouldn't say, but they are making that because that's their job. Like they're not just that's their time, that's their thing. They're making it because that's what they've got to do. So sometimes day one DLC, depending on if it's made for what reason, and how much it's going to be, depends. But I think it's a little bit scummy. But again, I will always buy it, or I'll buy pre-order so I have it, because I like having day one DLCs. It's just, I just like having it. But yeah, the point stands that it's not always the main team making it. Therefore, you've got to think more about it instead of just mentioning as it's a shitty scummy policy. Probably not always, but wait. All I can say is game is fuck you for that. Yeah, like I said, you've got to think a little bit more about it, because sometimes it's the entire purpose of a team to make that DLC for day one, and at that point you've got to think to yourself, okay, maybe I'm like I see why it's a day one DLC and not part of the main game. Because typically it's like the main, especially when it comes to Warhammer, the Total War Warhammers, where people are complaining a lot about it. If you look at it, like all these factions they've added had some of them, specifically like the Tomb Kings, were completely new. There was no factions like them, completely from scratch. The Vampire Coast are ones that people bitch about a lot. They have gone completely. They've used a horde mechanic to fit in with their playstyle, but they're a semi-horde, which makes sense. All of their units are brand new. Pretty much none of their units are yes, maybe a few textures were used, but even then I don't think it worked, because they're completely a completely different faction with completely different textures, units, and stuff like that. So they, all that adds up in man hours and shit like that. And you don't just click your fingers and look at me, I've made an entire faction. It's like, no, they the placeholders that were in the base game aren't even the same factions anymore. Like if you look at the Vampire Coast from the base game when it originally came out, and then you look at them now, and it's like, it's a world of difference. There's 4 lords, all of them different, unique, and everything. There's what's it called? There's brand new units, like I said, and all that shit. It all adds up very, very, very quickly. One thing I can say is it adds up very fucking quickly, and to see people getting a proper bitchy about it really does my head in. Like, even the old packs where it just added new factions for the Empire and stuff like that and added smaller units, extra units, even then, and same with like the greenskin one, even then it added new every like DLCs typically added new mechanics and everything as well to go along with it. So when you're saying it could have been in the base game, is it the you have to think, is it the same team? But at the same time, like, what was the base game faction like? Because, you know, there was faction unlockers from day one. So, you know, people could definitely know what, you know, it was like at day one. So, you know, you've got to think about that. Just because a faction is already in the game doesn't mean it's in the game. It means it's a placeholder because they haven't added it yet properly yet. Or they, you know, if they've added, like, you know, the Border Princes and Kislev and all that. Kislev probably the biggest one. Of them all, that seem to get people not pissed off, but they seem to really want, is Kislev, obviously, and that again is pretty much a placeholder at the moment for the actual faction whenever it releases, which will probably be with Warhammer 3. But you know, you've got to look at all of the work that goes into them, and then yet people have the audacity to say, "Oh, this shit's why should I pay for this? It should have been base game." It's like, that you have a certain amount of hours or a certain time, especially when it comes to games being like you having a publisher as well. You have like a deadline specifically normally set by the publisher that, you know, can be flexible, but typically it's a specific deadline.
I want to get rid of the Endriggers.
But like oh fucking hell, they then have to make it to that deadline. They then have to you know, they have to make everything. They have to make the engine, and even if the engine's the same, they then have to tailor the engine further to make it, you know, to deal with it what it wants. Like the engine they used in Warhammer 2, I'm pretty sure is the exact same engine as Warhammer 1, but it's upgraded a hell of a lot. And upgrades ain't easy as either, so you've got to spend a lot of man hours doing the upgrades. Like, all of this shit adds up time-wise very fucking quickly. And like it can take and then you've got to code it all. Then you've got the artists that take obviously a lot of man hours to do all the art. Then you've got to do the texturing, and all the texturing has to be different, even on different units. And then again, the biggest one people complain about is the blood and shit. That one is even funnier because like, oh, why did that? Like, again, it's the same. It's easy to say. It's like, well, it's man hours. It's typically probably not the main team. Hence the reason why it's not part of the main game. It's probably like a subsection of that main team. You know, it is the main team, but it's like a sub-part of the main team. So it's like, you know, people whose their specific purpose is to do that. But anyway, yeah, so it's like, obviously, the blood and that, you know, comes out for separate... It's separate for a reason. So, you know, then that's why it's also, you know, it's basically fucking nothing anyway. So I don't know what people complain about. Like, I have seen the argument, oh, it's so cheap, why not just include it in the base game? It's like, what? It's like... I'm definitely on the other side of a lot of people's opinion when it comes to DLC policies, because I would say it becomes from the fact that I've made games and I know the effort that goes into them, even if the games I've made are pretty shit and pretty low quality and low time. Like, even they took weeks to do, and yeah, I'm low skilled in comparison, you could say, but it took time and, you know, took effort, and still, you know, I understand. Well, you know, you've got to learn the value of that, and then, you know, paying all of the people's wages, and then you've got especially if your game is published by a different company, like if you've got a publisher who, you know, you work for, you've then got to pay them back. That you then get, like, I think it's, I don't know how realistic it is, but you know, you probably get a cut. They get a cut, you get your cut, and then your cut has to be divided amongst paying your people. Obviously, other than pay for your people, you've got to then pay for your profit. You've got your profits. You've got all of the other, like, sources of, like, the revenue and stuff like that have to be paid for and everything. So game sales make up, you know, they have to make up all these margins, and, you know, you're complaining that a game costs 40 quid and then has a few, like, maybe, yeah, I mean, Paradox has got a lot of DLCs, but I don't, like, every single DLC changed a lot, and then they have 3 updates to boot. Like, at this point, I'm swish-washing between different arguments or different points, but the main point is that DLC is typically worth it. Loot boxes, I'm not going to talk about because I don't like them. They're not really for me. I don't mind them, but they're not for me. And, like, battle passes, again, I'm not overly bothered about. Like, I think they're okay, but, you know, it depends on the content they add. But like when we're talking about updates, like you know the ones that EU4 get,
Medallions humming.
Total War Warhammer get, stuff like that. When we're talking about those, yeah, then my opinion is obviously very different then, because my opinion is like I said, I'm a lot more of a strong opinion saying like, obviously they've put all that effort in, then I'm happy to pay for the effort they've put in, because they've made a shit ton of stuff. Like Warden the Punch, I was very happy with. Like I was definitely extremely happy with, and I hate playing greenskins, and I'm very salty in my Grom campaign. Do not get me wrong, I am extremely salty, because I'm just having a hard time, I guess, because I'm a bit shit as greenskins. But even then, I'm happy with the content I've got. Like Grom's Cauldron is amazing. The Athel Tamara prisons are amazing. Like they're really good. They've got a very sleek art style to them. Stuff like that. So that all of this good stuff's good. All the units look beautiful, and all the new additions, all of it looks really well made. And this is what I mean. Like, then it's just like if it was shitly made, then I could see people I understand why people complain. But the effort I've seen, like the quality it's in, it's amazing quality, and for how cheap it is. Like, I wouldn't consider any Warhammer or like any DLC at the moment, like by either company, like expensive by any means. I get that a lot of people don't have have income they can just throw away, and I'm one of them. I mean, pretty much all my income goes to paying rent and feeding me and stuff like that, and all that other shit, like paying for buses and stuff. Well, when I'm at work, that is. But you have to, like, even then, it's like if I think that's still pretty cheap, I know there are people worse off than me, and there's people better off than me, but still, I think the fact that I find that pretty cheap has got to speak for something. Like, I could just agree and say, oh no, it's expensive, but it's just truly not. Like, 15 quid for a DLC. Like, when you get, like, if you think of, like, how much stuff is in Emperor and how many things they changed, added and all that, and even, like, especially when there's a lot of free stuff added as well. Like, people's wages get paid for the free stuff by the amount of shit you get, like, basically, the people who pay for the DLC basically pay for the wages of the people who worked on the free update. If you look at it like that. So, like, if you think to yourself, oh yeah, they do really good. The free updates are really cool as well, which is true. But then you look at it, it's like, oh wait, yeah, if I buy this, if I buy Emperor, then I'm also paying for all the wages of people who worked on the entirety of the product, not just the DLC itself. I'm also paying for people who worked on the free stuff.
Destroy it.
Which isn't. You should also think to yourself, yeah, it's a free update because they obviously they want to give you it, but they've still got to get paid. People don't work for free these days, man. And I don't know why I've been ranting about this for so long, because it does bother me. And I don't care if you have. I mean, if you have a different opinion to me, then that's fine. I'd love to know why. And I've seen a lot of people complain. They just seem to say it's scummy. They don't really seem to give me an explanation, like saying. I think the most explanation I've seen when people say it's scummy is, oh, it should be in the base game, which is like, oh, it should be a free update, and it's like, what? That one's actually bothered me quite a bit. Oh, it should be a free update. The amount of effort they put in? Are you serious? It's like, really? It's like they don't like people buying games like the game consumers these days. Typically not the hardcore ones, even though some hardcore ones as well. They don't seem to realize how much effort goes into some of the simplest tasks in gaming. Game production. And also they don't seem to understand the amount of money that you can easily spend in game production as well. Like, money comes and goes in game production extremely quickly. Like, that's why games cost so much to make, and if you don't, you've got to see a return on them, which is why indie developers are a hit and miss thing, very very hit and miss thing, and early access is a big issue. Because early access is a big issue in the sense of it doesn't pan out as often as we'd like it to. But that's again because games are so fucking expensive. Games are not cheap to make. If games were cheap to make, everyone would make them. Oh, for fuck's sake, you. Fuck it, I'll just deal with the rest of these ones.
Show me what you got.
Wait. Oh, I thought I could have it there we go. Come on, lads.
Damn it.
Well, there's them dead. But yeah. To Anthony Fiel. Clear the elven ruins of all valuable artifacts. Once that's done, put fire to that rubbish heap and burn it to the ground. Regarding your question about the elven manuscripts you discovered, hand over the diagram during the next change of patrols. Our armor smith will set about deciphering it. But yeah, that is pretty much my whole take on the entire thing. I don't think I've ever really said that before, or given my take, but I'm very much on the side of I want things to be priced fairly, and I, for the most part, think everything is. But anyway, to be delivered personally to the hands of the Honourable Sir Anthony File, our unusual partnership has brought me enormous pleasure. I trust Sir Knight finds himself in good health. I've catalogued the last shipment of elven sculptures and sold the entire lot at once. As per our agreement, find detached the bill of accounts for our most recent transactions. Sculpture, Gian Lorenzo. The Rape of Illyria, Aleron. Buyer, Kurt Dysat. 300 Novigrad crowns, minus 35% transaction fee. Sculpture, Votticelli, Phobius and Daphne. Buyer, Kurt Dysat. 430 crowns, minus of transaction fee. Sculpture, Gian Lorenzo. The Ecstasy of Gavalaxis, the Bloody. Buyer, Rudolph de Jonkier, 450 Novigrad crowns. Sadly, I was unable to finalize the sale of Piters by Machiel Angelic to Brandon & Co. Inc. The company being sued for deferment of the sale due to some claimed financial difficulties. Rumours around town claim the firm's senior partner was robbed in broad daylight by some white-haired, sick witcher. But for obvious reasons, I did not agree to prolong the payment period. A messenger with the earnings will present himself at the agreed-upon spot. I patiently await the next transport. Yaramir Cartises. Brandon & Co. Do not remember them. I'm pretty sure it was me who did it, but I don't remember it. Yeah, but yeah, that is pretty much my opinion of the game. Like, if you guys ever want me to give like a more concise opinion about it, like then ask. But like, I don't typically talk about the politics of shit and shit like that to do with games. Like, as far as I'm concerned, like, just do what you want, buy the DLC or don't. I don't care. But, you know, that's just my 2 cents. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you guys did enjoy, please follow me on Twitch, YouTube, and join my Discord. And like I said, I'll see you in the next one.